My name is Jumpin Jack Frost, DJ, producer, entrepreneur. I really believe that music and movement is medicine because it takes you away. It's meant to be an escape from all your troubles. Music is a worldwide language of healing. It is a medicine. What draws me to drum and bass and jungle is I think I grew and I evolved with it. I was originally an old school acid house DJ, and I went from acid house to hardcore and then into jungle, which is where I'm at. I was there at the inception of it. Drum and bass and me, we've grown together. We grew up together. So it's like a long lost relative. It's not so lost, but I say a relative. Transition from acid house to jungle was organic because we started off with acid house and just evolved into different things and ended up as jungle and drum and bass. So it was very organic. We didn't know that this thing was being created because we were part of this movement. When you're part of it and it's happening, it's so fluid, you don't actually know what's happening. You just know that we're here now and you just, wow, look what we've created over a number of years. And it's now a worldwide phenomenon and it seems to be getting bigger and bigger. I think the outside influences that came in to transform from acid house to hardcore to jungle was just new people coming into the music, new people being turned onto the acid house, which was turning into something else. Those people would come from hip hop or reggae and they brought their interpretation and their influences. They started making music that reflected where they came from. And we had all these other influences. It just grew and grew. And more people got involved that brought their influences that made the music a little bit more eclectic, a little bit more mixed up, a little bit more accessible to everyone because more people were getting involved. Whereas before, at the beginning, it was just one kind of thing. But when more people from different backgrounds start getting involved, you're going to get that difference, you know what I mean? And that's what happened. Obviously, my mum's generation, they're all from the Windrush generation. And when they came from the West Indies, they brought the reggae culture with them. There were sound systems set up on the streets, there were blues dances going on. Us children of the Windrush generation, we're obviously going to have that influence. And that came into the music with us because you are a product of your environment. When we come to the table to make music, that's always going to be the backbone of what we do, the reggae and the rare groove and the old soul vibe. It's going to be because that's where we grew up. That's your default really, isn't it? You go to your default and you build on that. All the music, all the genres I've ever played, all of them are coming to one. All of them are part of jungle. All of them influence jungle and play an important part in my history and the history of the music. You've got tunes that started off just 4x4. Then when hardcore came in, they started bringing the breaks into it. Then all of a sudden, the 4x4 disappeared and it was just the breaks. Then that then became jungle and drum and bass. So it's definitely universal. It's around the drum, the infamous drum. What would we do without the drum? The drum's the heartbeat of it all, isn't it? Without the drum, what have we got? Nothing. A lot of the sounds from rave culture are organic earth sounds. There's an old record called Koran, Bang the Party, and it was so tribal. It had the bongos in it. When you listen to that record, it just had all the elements of what I call flea sounds, which are sounds of the earth, organic sounds that you might hear when you're walking through a jungle. You might hear rustling, things over there, and it's all earthly, organic sounds. All these sounds you hear in music is very earthly and organic, this music, and very fluid. Do you know what I mean? Always changing. I think that because it's almost trance-like, isn't it? Music can put you in that state of trance, especially when you close your eyes. I was lucky enough to come to your class, and at one time you were saying we all close our eyes and just got into it. And you do get into that trance state. If you can relax enough, because I do meditation as well, and after a while you learn how to relax and release and let go and go where it's taking you, do you know what I mean? And the music has that effect, it really does. No matter what language you speak, no matter where you come from, everyone can be in the same space, enjoying that music and feeling that same emotion, feeling that same thing, at the same time, almost in sync with each other. You don't know each other. Sometimes you can't even speak to each other. You don't even, it might be different languages, but you're all there and you're all in sync with each other through that beat, through that music. We're in Brixton now, where I live. And I'm involved in various projects around there where I try to share music and the feeling of music and the performance, just the focus that you get from being involved in music with some of the kids that are going down the wrong road. Some of them are gang members. Some of them have committed pretty horrible crimes. Do you know what I mean? But when they come to the classes and when they're around, they really get in tune. Do you know what I mean? It just shows music as it's got no boundaries, it's got no class, it's got no colour. It just goes across the board and saves lives and inspires. And it's just a beautiful, loving thing. Dance floors are always a place of expression. And the more free you feel, do you know what I mean? I've seen people that have got all the troubles in the world and they come and let them all go on the dance floor. And that's the place where you do it. You let it all go. You can walk around a club and find out what this person's life is like away from a lot of people who've got a lot of troubles. But when they're on the dance floor, they leave all those troubles behind. That's the power of music and movement and just moving to the music and being free. It's a beautiful thing. I tend to leave here without preparing an actual set. I think that you can't preempt where you're going or what's being played. You can't replicate it. When I go there, I'm going to do this. That's not the one. I don't look at things that way. I go there and I look at it. I might make 3 scenarios. When I leave, I've got 3 scenarios. Scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. Or you might have to make a new scenario right there and then. And a lot of it is down to you feeding off the crowd and you feeding off each other. I might see one person and single that one person out and say, I'm going to play for you for 20 minutes. Then I move to someone else. There's different ways. And it depends on where you go, the vibe, but crowd participation and interaction and just getting that feeling from the crowd is so important in driving the set. I was once playing at a party in Philadelphia and I was performing with African Bambaataa and he was emceeing for me. But everyone in the crowd was just standing still like this. And I was like, what is going on here? But towards the end, someone said, oh, that was a great set, man. I was like, I just didn't understand. But I got to find out after there was some crazy drug, like crazy, I don't know what it was. But everyone said we all had a great time. But there was all still this, and I was like, nah, that's not a great time for me. That's not a great time for me. I think we need that movement. We need that participation. And that's the only time I've ever witnessed anything like that. And that was down to drugs. I think that rave culture originally was built on this hedonism thing. But I think that where we're at now, people just want to hear music. There's so many people now that are going out and not drinking, not getting on it, and really enjoying themselves. Do you know what I mean? And really having the best time of their lives. Waking up tomorrow, fresh as a daisy, ready to enjoy the day without having to want to kill themselves or on a come down, or you don't have to take drugs to have a good time. And I think more and more people are starting to be aware of this, which is a beautiful thing. It's always been about the music and the movement, because even if you go back to the tribes in Africa, when they were dancing, they got the drama and they got the movement. And it's always been about that. No matter where you go in the world, different tribes, music, movement, always the same. This thing about the drugs, that came in from people that worked to make money. The original concept of it was never about that. The money men came in and thought, here we go. And that's it. And it's taken years to remove that way of thinking. Now, more and more people are just like, listen, to do that, we can go out and have a really good time. Some of the worst nights are when you take drugs and you just didn't enjoy yourself. It's taken people so long to realize that you just don't have to do that. 2 years ago, because I was always out partying, taking cocaine, I don't really like drinking. But when I took cocaine, I drank a lot. I wasn't a very nice person. I mean, I thought I was rude, obnoxious. That's what cocaine does to you. You become someone that you're not. Over a period of time, you really do become someone that you're not. Do you know what I mean? And I just thought, I don't really like myself. I don't mean anymore. And I just got to a point where I thought, I've had enough of this. And I stopped. I never looked back. I went away to a couple of retreats. I had just over a year of therapy, really deep therapy. Do you know what I mean? If you don't want to do the work on yourself, if you don't want to find out and really ask questions about yourself, you're not going to be able to do this. You really have to dig deep and question things about yourself. Sometimes you have to look at your own faults and recognize what part you played in all this as well, which is really important. So I've done a lot of work and, I'm really glad I did. It was really hard sometimes, But I'm so glad I done it because it opens up a whole new world. I never started drinking or taking drugs until I was in my 30s. And I had 10 years of just chaos. And I'm so glad that I put that all to bed because it's like life is so much better without all that. I'm a lot more productive, a lot more precise, a lot more demanding of myself, a lot more present, a lot more respectful for the job what I do. And the environment, sometimes I took things for granted. You don't really think this is always going to be like this, when that's a form of entitlement as well. And it's not great. And a lot of people have constantly recently said, how do we do this? And I've said, listen, you have to be willing to ask some tough questions of yourself. What role did I play in my suffering? And do I want to continue to suffer? Some people want to continue, and that's up to you. Electronic music is designed for you to move. It's not like elevator music. You don't sit down in a restaurant. And even if you do, you really got to move on. It is designed to move, so it can only be good. Do you know what I mean? The faster the tempo, the more we dance, the more we move. I'll tell you where. There's only one answer. I played in Puerto Rico in the rainforest. Just before I finished my set, it started raining and it was spiritual. Everyone came in. It was like a rain dance. And I just looked up and I was just like, it's just, you just couldn't buy this experience. I was up in the mountains in the rainforest and I party went on all night. When I played my last tune, it started raining and I was like, usually I'd have been like, fuck the rain, but it's beautiful. And that was, I think the answer for that is that's the only euphoria, pure euphoria and connection. I was playing to about 400 people because it was late in the morning and people started going. It was about 1,500 to 2,000 at first. But by the time I finished, it was about 400 left. And everyone was just dancing in the rain, hugging. It was such a spiritual moment. And I will never forget this. You can't buy it. I'm in a rainforest. It started raining and everyone was hugging. And I was just like, what a beautiful moment. Like, you can never, I don't think I'd ever experience anything like that ever again. Do you know what I mean? The location, the timing, everything was just beautiful. And it was like, the moon was full moon, shining. And it just started fucking raining. We were like, everyone just, some people were crying like, God, it was crazy. Do you know what I mean? Never experienced anything like it. It's beautiful. That's from God, no doubt. You look at that and you just think, wow, it's just unbelievable. How I love music, man. As soon as you said that, I just knew that was the only answer. People have to understand that some of the best things in life are free, and just dancing to music and being at one with the music is the best, and it costs nothing. Just connect with it and try to enjoy it as naturally as you can.